At what time did you start driving, sir?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon? AM or PM?
No, sorry.
You're sorry?
No,
Why are
no,
you sorry?
No stand.
At what time did you start driving?
8.
You just told me 4 o'clock. How come you changing the time?
No.
You're lying to me, Mr. Stimpian, right?
Okay.
You're lying to me?
No, sir.
Are you transporting people?
No, sir.
Drugs?
Yes.
You're transporting drugs, right? Yeah, I knew it. You're under arrest.
They should be able to speak English 100%.
Alan Gaines notes drivers need to speak English to communicate with others and even ask for directions. In an executive order, the president agrees with him, saying proficiency in English should be a non-negotiable safety requirement for professional drivers. They should be able to read and understand traffic signs, communicate with traffic safety, border patrol, agricultural checkpoints, and cargo weight limit station officers. Drivers need to provide feedback to their employers and customers and receive related directions in English. This is common sense. Rigo Diaz is CEO of Simplex Group, a national safety regulation consulting firm for trucking companies.
This regulation has been in place for over 30 years. The state exams and the safety signage and road signages are in English, so I don't see why President Trump is doing this.
Yo por lo menos me puedo comunicar y hablar y...
Trucker Hermes Duran said he is able to at least communicate and speak in English, but he realizes if his English is not good enough, an official could force him out of service, essentially out of a job if they don't understand him.
Boy. So we got to talk about President Trump and his Department of Transportation cracking down on non-English speaking truck drivers, which apparently is a thing, right? Apparently we have commercial driver's licensed individuals who are driving on our roads in commercial vehicles, right? In trucks, big 18-wheelers, okay? Very dangerous vehicles on the road. And they can't speak English, right? They can't read English signs. They can't communicate with English-speaking police officers. Apparently, this is a thing, right? So much so that President Trump had to crack down on it, okay? He had to write an executive order, sign an executive order, in order to crack down on non-English speaking truck drivers, basically making it a requirement if you want to drive trucks in this country, right? If you want to be a commercial driver. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and react to this enforcement being ramped up, okay? The enforcement of the executive order, because there are a certain group of drivers that are not very happy about this, particularly immigrant drivers, which are apparently in high demand, okay? From what I read, the trucking industry apparently has a shortage of drivers, right? There's going to be a need for about 100,000 drivers over the next decade. That's the estimate. And they've been relying on that immigrant labor, right? And for whatever reason, okay, the immigrants who come over here to drive trucks don't know English, and they don't think they should have to know English. In fact, they're lashing out about this, while at the same time you have others who are boohoo, whining, crying racism.
The way we speak has nothing to do with our ability to handle a tractor trailer.
Kelvin is a truck driver who works in both Mexico and the U.S. Like other truckers, Kelvin will soon have to show he can understand traffic signs, communicate with law enforcement, and navigate agricultural checkpoints and weight limit stations. Some states like Arkansas already have similar requirements, with fines of up to $10,000 for truckers who don't comply.
The aggressive way they're doing it, from one day to the next, the fines they're talking about in social media, it's something too strict and worrisome.
Kelvin and others would like President Trump to change his mind.
I'm asking him to be considerate. We're all part of the commerce along the border, and we're only trying to do the best job possible.
The Trump administration has yet to announce how it will enforce the executive order dealing with truckers who may not have the desired English skills.
You know what's so funny, guys? With all this bullshit about the President Trump requiring the truck drivers to speak a fluent English, it's that all of a sudden, a lot of racist people, they just started posting videos expressing how happy they are with this decision. And it's so funny that, listen, this is what they're saying. And if you are one of them, I hope you're listening. But this is what they're saying. They're saying, finally, listen, finally, those illegal drivers, which truck drivers, will be removed from the streets and they'll be sent back to their country where they belong. But guys, this is completely, literally, completely ridiculous.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Again, there were questions about enforcement. Okay, how was President Trump going to actually enforce this executive order? And we're finding out because 2 truck drivers traveling through DeKalb County are some of the first to be ticketed for not speaking English since President Trump's executive order. So what you have here is real life enforcement of this executive order from the president. Let's get into it.
Ticket on the road, speeding, no seatbelt, or even blowing through a stop sign. Not the case for 2 truck drivers in DeKalb County. They were just ticketed for not speaking English, making them some of the first in the state ticketed under President Trump's executive order reinstating an English-speaking mandate. WAFF 48's Nick Ballinger spoke to truckers here in the Valley, getting their thoughts on this order being enforced since June 25th. Nick?
Well, Margo, this mandate requiring all truck drivers to speak English has actually been on the books since the 1930s. Now, the president and CEO of the Alabama Trucking Association tells me that guidelines from the Obama administration loosened enforcement and lowered penalties. Now, this executive order brings back that original mandate, and we're already seeing Alabama state troopers enforcing it.
This is a ticket written by a state trooper in DeKalb County against a truck driver from Texas. This one, the driver was from Florida. What they have in common, the tickets say the drivers couldn't speak English.
The English language proficiency standard has been there for a long time.
These are some of the first tickets issued after the president's executive order reinstated enforcement and penalties in late June. Mark Colson, the president and CEO of the Alabama Trucking Association, says the order reverses an Obama administration memo and now takes the driver off the road.
It's all about safety. It's all about being able to read the rules of the road, being able to communicate with law enforcement and the general public.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think this is common sense, right? Again, some people may see it as racist, right? Even though I don't think that it has anything to do with race as much as it has to do with the fact that if you're driving a commercial vehicle, if you're driving a truck, I think, honestly, they need to have this apply to all commercial drivers, to be honest with you, right? Like if you're driving Uber, taxi, whatever, yeah, you should be required to speak English because our road signs are in English, okay? You have to communicate with people in English. In fact, I experienced what I believe to be probably a communication barrier coming from the airport a couple weeks ago, in which I got in a taxi and I told a dude where I lived at, I gave him my address, and the dude drove off another direction, right? Complete opposite direction of my place, right? And I think there were clearly some communication issues, okay? He was some, I don't know if he was Caribbean or what. He was a darker skinned individual, put it that way, okay? And yeah, he didn't seem to really speak or understand English too well. I don't know. I'm just saying that, yeah, I mean, it's important to understand what people are telling you, okay? To understand the rules on the road, to be able to read the signs, okay? To be able to comply with the rules and regulations if you're going to be driving a truck, right? A big 18-wheeler, right? I mean, I'm just saying, right? Like, I mean, it just makes sense. It's just common sense, okay? Because the signs in this country are English. Could you imagine trying to work in another country, right? A predominantly Spanish-speaking country in a position like this and not being able to speak Spanish? Right, I think that people would say, no, you should be required to speak Spanish. And nobody would find it to be controversial. But only in the United States of America do we have to bend over backwards for foreigners, right? And we have to adapt to them rather they adapt to us. And I think having more standards in place to force assimilation into this country, I think is a good thing. I think it's a good thing for preserving the culture of this country because, I mean, there are some parts of the country right now, guys, where, like, you need to be bilingual, right? You need to know English and Spanish, or you need to primarily know Spanish, right, in order to get by, okay? And that's not good, right? I mean, that's not a good thing for this country, right? I know some people may disagree. They may find it to be controversial, but I don't have any problem with Spanish-speaking people. I just think that if you're going to speak Spanish here in the United States of America, you need to also speak English as well, too, so that English speakers don't have to adapt to Spanish, right? It should be the other way around, okay? Because this is an English-speaking country. For as far as I'm concerned, right? I know everybody doesn't, believe that, but I believe this is an English-speaking country.
Huntsville truck driver Jose Reyes says he wasn't surprised to already see tickets written. This bilingual first-generation American says he's had to translate for drivers who have been in accidents before.
I think it would be a shock to a lot of people. Drivers are out here on the road, they're operating, 80,000 pounds, and it's super dangerous. And they can't communicate, they can't read road signs. That's where the safety part of it comes in, is being able to get those drivers off the road because they can't read or write basic English.
Critics of the mandate say this could take drivers off the road in an industry that's already facing a shortage. The Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance recommends all drivers who are pulled over to be able to speak English on a list of topics about their current job, as well as read all road signs.
And they're having to use Google Translate to be able to, talk to people. And you shouldn't have to do that.
Now, I've reached out to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency to find out specifics on these tickets and to also learn any guidelines that these state troopers are using when issuing these English tests. And I'll let you know as soon as I hear back. Reporting live in Huntsville, Nick Ballinger, 48 News, on your side.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so, I'm kind of annoyed to hear that once again we have a labor shortage. We have 7+ million unemployed men in this country, right? Able-bodied men. How in the world do we have so many industries, particularly blue-collar industries, that are lacking labor, right? I don't understand it. But again, that should tell you something about our entitlements, right? And this is why I keep trying to tell people, the left, they want to expand entitlements, but a sign that your country probably has expanded entitlements too much is, again, when you have so many people just choosing not to work and you've run up $37 trillion plus in debt while also having a 6% deficit to GDP ratio, right? Which is historically high for this country. We should not have men who are unemployed in job openings, right? These type of, labor shortages that people keep talking about. There should be no shortage of labor in this country, right? And this narrative of a labor shortage is what leads Democrats to push for open borders, right? Well, we need to let as many people in the country as possible because we don't have enough labor here in the United States of America. And it's like, no, we got more than enough labor, right? We just don't have labor that is willing to work. And that's the problem, okay? That's the problem. And there should not be an option in this country to not work, right? You shouldn't have the option to not work. So again, that's not really the point of this video. That's just me kind of going off on a side tangent. The point is that, yes, I think that it makes sense to require truck drivers, okay, taxi drivers, right, commercial vehicle drivers. I think it actually makes sense to require them to speak English, especially when you're talking about, again, hauling around 18,000+ pounds. I mean, again, that is a very dangerous vehicle on the road. I mean, all vehicles are basically dangerous, but especially dangerous, right? A big 18-wheeler. Yeah, I mean, you need to be able to read. You need to be able to write. You need to be able to speak English, right? The native language. And if you can't do that, then you're not qualified, period. You're not qualified. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.